Hey everybody, I just wanted to give a little update. I am still working on some videos. I actually have been working for the past few days on a kind of a too ambitious video, which is why I haven't posted an update, because I got into this one thinking it would be really good, and it just has been taking too long, so I'm going to kind of slow down on it and do some more simple videos just to keep the flow moving and work on that one when I have a little extra time here and there. A part of the problem is that I'm stuck using these crappy free video editing software programs, and most of them are garbage. So, yeah, there's that. Right now, I want to address something that was brought up in my Christian Marxism video, in the comments to that Christian Marxism video, and that is that the idea of Christian Marxism is an anachronism. There was one commenter who very helpfully told me that my entire worldview is a fallacy of anachronism, and that all of my illusions depend on me being right, so I can't see the truth, yada yada yada. But they do bring up an important point, even if they're completely wrong about it in every way. So, is Christian Marxism an anachronism? No, obviously not. To think that shows that you don't understand what an anachronism is, or you don't understand what I mean by Christian Marxism. Now, an anachronism is basically retrojecting, I mean, in this case, it would be retrojecting our current ideas and theories and beliefs onto the ancient world. It would be taking something that doesn't belong in a time period and trying to fit it into that time period. But wait, I hear you saying Marxism didn't exist in the time of Jesus. Ha! I've got you! No, you don't. One of the most important aspects of Marxism is historical materialism. That is the idea, and Engels put it best in The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State. This is it summed up in one sentence. Historical materialism is a way of analyzing history that starts from the idea that the determining factor in history is the production and reproduction of the immediate essentials of life. So, from there, you build upon, and you add in things like class struggle, and you add in the idea that history is driven by people and by our material condition, by great men who move history by starting wars or writing books or whatever it is, and it's not moved forward by an external force like a god, for example. So it's just a method of analyzing history, and it doesn't mean, like, you can't only analyze it from the year that Marx and Engels first developed it until now. You can use that way of understanding history to analyze history as long as there have been classes, which goes back to, about when history began. So all Christian Marxism is understanding Christian origins through historical materialism, and then applying the lessons that you learn from that to our own material conditions today. It's not thinking, oh, Jesus was literally a Marxist. That would be an anachronism. It's also not saying, okay, well, this was what Jesus did, so we should literally do exactly that today, down to the smallest detail. It's saying, okay, this is the world Jesus lived in. This is how that world was shaped by class struggle, and this is where Jesus' mission fits in to the class struggle of his time and day. The struggle between patricians and plebeians, and the Romans and the Jews and their imperialists and their imperial client states, etc. It's understanding that history was not built by Caesar doing things and then the rest of history moved to his will. It was driven by the classes at that time. And Jesus was a member of the underclass. He was, as I said in my other video, a proletarian, which is a Latin word, which is a word that was used at the time. Of course, it's an anachronism to say that it's the same thing as the proletariat under capitalism, but it's similar. That's where Marx and Engels got the word from, so obviously it's similar. And so it's understanding that. It's putting Jesus in his time and place. John Dominic Crossan, who I talk about a lot, he calls it the matrix. The intersection of time and place where Jesus is located. And then it's saying, okay, so Jesus did this, and this is why he did this, and we can be reasonably sure that this is probably a big, important part of his mission. So what would it look like if we applied that to our understanding of our class struggle today? What would it look like if we took it and said, okay, now how do we accomplish the same goal today in our world? And this goes back to the illness versus disease video that I just did. Well, part of Jesus's healing praxis was to subvert the authority of the temple in Jerusalem, the purification and ritual authority, because it was in collaboration with Roman imperialism. So what are the elements that are in collaboration with capitalist imperialism today? Sorry, my cat knocked something over. What are the elements, especially the healing elements, that are in collaboration with the capitalist imperialist powers of today? And how do we subvert them? You know, my argument is building dual power structures to heal and take care of people outside of the capitalist structures. That's just one small example. But so the idea that it's an anachronism is ludicrous. It's just using Marx's method of history to extrapolate from what we know from biblical criticism and archaeology and anthropology and all those things that we have to use to study and analyze the Bible. So that's it. Yeah, if anybody tries to say it's anachronistic, just tell them they don't understand what they're talking about, because they don't.